Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Lee McCulloch here with me. And here's what's coming up in today's show. Philippe Clement warns against complacency after Rangers win over Sparta Prague.
Yeah, if there's one thing I don't want, if that players think that we are now qualified.
Stephen Naismith's not concerned about outside noise as he gets set to face Motherwell this weekend.
At this day and age, there's a lot of social media and attention, but again, over my years of playing, I've came up against everything you can imagine.
Stephen Robinson weighs in on VAR debate as he reveals financial impact.
Is VAR making the game better? Because we're investing money into it. Every team in the SPL is investing money into it when we could be banned players with it.
Ange Postecoglou scoops Premier League Manager of the Month for the third time. Yeah, lots to talk about. We'll look back over the European performances of Scottish clubs. We'll also look ahead to the Scottish Premiership fixtures over Saturday and Sunday. Lots to talk about and great to have everybody in here. Apologies for Lee, because obviously there's a lot of chocolate on his trousers ahead of the show. Basically, Ruffy, Lee's a team player. He brought chocolate in for everybody, but obviously forgot that it's quite messy. It's all over his trousers. He's just looking mental.
When you eat the whole box.
Yeah,
brought them in then, ate them all.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Although with your training regime, you can get away with it. Lots to talk about, and great to have everyone here to offer their opinion. If you like the show, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, tell your friends, and across all our social media. If you download the app, you've got all the breaking news at your fingertips as well. But on YouTube, there's a variety of programmes that you can watch, and hopefully you're enjoying the football show. Of course, the European football in midweek. Contrasting fortunes for the clubs. Let's start Champions League. It was an absolute thumping for Celtic against Atletico Madrid, Ali.
Yeah, and I think Callum McGregor used the word embarrassing. It would be hard to get away from that. I think 20 years since Celtic had a win in the group stages of the Champions League. 2017, I think, since the last time a Scottish team had a win in the group stages of the Champions League. I think we all know that the chasm between domestic football and European football is a difficult one to bridge, but I think Celtic need to be doing much better than that, and they won't be judged necessarily against teams of the quality of Atletico Madrid, but the margin of the win, the manner of the defeat, and just the nature of the campaign in its entirety doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good for a manager, Ruffy, that was brought back for, I'm almost certain, Champions League or at least European progression. That hasn't materialised, although I hate to tell you, I did say to you at the start, I couldn't see where there was a point coming from for Celtic.
Yeah, well, that was his main thing when he came back. I think he actually posted that he wanted to come back and improve Celtic in the European scene. I don't think the signings that came in did anything like that. But it was very evident, you know, the other night there that Atletico had Champions League players on their side and Celtic didn't. You know, you can talk about the sending off. I don't think it would have been the same amount, but the players that they had at their ability. And I'm looking at the Celtic team as far as away from home in the Champions League. Yeah, at home they can compete with anybody, but away from home they didn't have that quality player that could get them out of that mess.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, the red card is a big debate, Lee, because you're now getting to the point where we've talked about it ad nauseum. There is forensic analysis of a challenge now, and then the referee eventually has to go over and he's hearing not only the advice from the VAR assistant, but the evidence in the freeze frame is forcing him down a road that you know when he goes to the camera at the side that he's going to either produce a red card or a penalty for issues.
Yeah, I think the 10 men's killed him with regards to, it's a hard place to go even with 11 men with everybody on the pitch. So you go down to 10, it's a hide into nothing. The game couldn't be finished quick enough from a Celtic point of view. But on the red card, I thought it was harsh, first seeing it, and then you see the referee running over and you think, well, nah, he's not going to do it. Sorry, he's going to send them off. And then you see what the referee's saying, and it's just what you say, when it's slowed down, you can make it to be whatever you want it to be when you slow it down. He's got to see it in real time, and he didn't. I think he maybe have watched it once in real time, then the rest of it was slowing down, and then like freeze frame pictures. It can look nasty in a freeze frame picture. We all know this.
Yeah.
It's just, I just don't think it's been a good campaign at all for Celtic. I'm with Ruffy. I don't think the signings necessarily have been Brendan's top signings to make them better in Europe. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in January at Celtic.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you make there. Of course, on the incident with Maeda being sent off, Brendan Rodgers, just after the game, pointed out something that I think a lot of managers across Britain and Europe are worried about analysing every incident in a game.
But like I say, the referee, I think, seen it in game time and didn't deem it worthy of anything so serious. But yeah, it just feels like a computer game now. Football, we so many visits to the screen, so many influences in the game, and of course for a team like ourselves that is really at the fingertips at this level, for us to lose the player in such a manner when it wasn't, then I'm disappointed with that.
Yeah, there's a lot to read into a manager like Brendan, who is, for me, choosing his words very carefully at the end of Champions League matches. But in the end, a 6-0 hiding, as Callum McGregor pointed out, was embarrassing for them. And again, he went on today at greater length about VAR, which is occupying everyone's minds, not only here in Scotland, but you are hearing managers becoming exasperated with it down in the Premier League as well. This is what Brendan had to say. If you ask me right now, I'd get rid of it. We know that where humans are involved, there will be mistakes. We all make mistakes, but I'd rather accept that than what we're seeing at the moment. Bad news on Daizen Maeda. He'll probably be out for up to 6 weeks with an injury from that challenge. It's a big change for us because he's been brilliant for us. And suddenly you're in a situation where Celtic, going into this winter festive period coming up, I've lost a key player.
I think he's been one of the better performances over the course of the campaign from August until now. I think his work rate is fairly peerless. I think he gives you so much in terms of industry and getting up that flank. I think he will be a huge loss. I think it just rubs salt in the wound for Celtic. Not only did they lose him on Tuesday night, and then we're in the back of a fairly appalling result, but now that they're looking at one of their key players being out for the next 6 weeks, which will take them pretty much up to the break.
Just a one little footnote, Ali. Celtic continue to remain resolute in their stance, no Green Brigade. Do you see them getting back in before Christmas?
No, and it's got. It looks as though it's changing all the time to a number of the Green Brigade now asking to be removed from that Green Brigade supporters group, to come out of it, of those who are banned. I think what you might see are pockets of them around different areas of the stadium springing up. But I think
with banners.
With banners, I think that's an inevitability. I don't know how you police that properly. I don't know if you don't want banners. I think it's almost impossible to say that you don't have them in other areas of the stadium, or people don't manage to smuggle them in or take them in. But I think the Green Brigade, as you know it, or as you have come to know it across the last decade or so, I think it looks increasingly likely that you've seen the end of it. OK, it's Celtic Aberdeen on Sunday. Aberdeen, of course, were in European action, and it was, I think, a really credible performance from Aberdeen. What did you make of it?
It was a great performance, obviously taking the lead and then going 2-1 down, showing great character to get back. What a goal for Jamie McGrath, but great character to come back in. That's the last 3 results for Aberdeen have been very good. They've been slaughtered for their performance in the semi-final, although they've progressed. And they're getting into a big game, obviously, at the weekend. After that semi-final, Barry Robson came out and he didn't say, do you know what, we didn't play well today. We weren't at our best, but we went through, and that's what's most important. He came out and he was on about the fixture list. Everything was on, all about the fixture list. I'd have liked to have seen him give his players a little bit more credit and just got on with the fixtures, because there's teams in the same league that get the same amount of games, if not more. So I think it's just got to be a little bit of, well done, boys, we need to keep going. But they're probably a rich vein of form results-wise.
Yeah, just before I go to Ruffy, are we in the media guilty of the hypocrisy of analysing, because we're analysing managers, because we're now looking and we will discuss, you know, Stephen Naismith under pressure. We discussed Stephen McLean. People have been there's been little grumblings about Barry Robson, the way Aberdeen were playing. Some people couldn't work out what he was doing. And then on the flip side of that, every now and then we'll turn around and say managers just win games. So he's just doing exactly what everybody says, just win the games.
Exactly. It's all about winning games. That's what the board want. That's what the fans want. I think I used to, when I was in it, Hearts, joke with Robbie Nielsen. There's always a cloud in Scottish football just falling, goes like that to every different manager all the time, and you just need a game or two. You just need to win a game or two to keep that cloud away from you, because that's when all the pressure and everybody starts talking about you, and it's been over Barry's head quite a lot, and I've had a bit of a laugh about it, but it's no nice. So it just needs to keep on winning games. And yes, I think most of the media are quite bad for that, to answer your question.
Yeah. and you're in the media now.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Just thought I'd remind you. Yeah, exactly. And that cloud's coming your way shortly. He's put a lot of thought into this stuff. You know, what an analogy for everybody to look at. The cloud that follows a manager.
I can see where he's coming from, you know, because every manager will get it throughout the season. I said earlier, St Mirren are sitting pretty good now, but I bet you that cloud will form around him at some stage in the season. They've done tremendously well just now. I don't think they've got the resources to stay where they are. I think they'll probably be 5 or 6 in the league, but they'll go through a barn spell where the fans will not be happy with some of the results that are coming up. So you just have to keep winning games.
Yeah, and to be fair, there are moments now where you can see really good passages of play from Aberdeen. You know, obviously, I thought they performed what can only be described as a Dick Turpin performance against Hibs. Hibs should have won by about 4 or 5.
I would agree with you on that, but you do wonder what a result like last night's may do for them. Now, I know the campaign's gone for them, but just in terms of a bit of belief, a bit of conviction, a bit of spirit about you, just I think players will know themselves that last Saturday they were lucky to prevail against Hibs, that they were lucky to go through. So the flip side of that is, what do you take from last night's result when it's over for you, but you go and you use the word credible. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. I don't think any of us would have expected it. I know I didn't expect them to get a result. It'll be interesting to see what they take into Sunday's game at Celtic Park, because I think repeatedly when you look at teams who play big European games, particularly on the road and they're away and they come back, there's a dip in form, there's a dip in performance. I think inevitably people are tired and very limited recovery sessions before you have to go again. So I think it'll be a test for them on Sunday how they come through that one.
Yeah, another thing that again, it's not just Scottish football; it's British football. You've heard it time and time again. Aberdeen complained that Papi Habib Gaya was racially abused during the match from a section of PAOK fans. And PAOK have responded saying it's just a product of your imagination.
I think it's very disappointing, and I think UEFA's response to these instances has been disappointing, not just in this occasion, but traditionally down through the years. A
UEFA game like that, Ali's got about 20 cameras.
And mics all the way around. But the first point is, well, to me, the minute there's an allegation like that, it should open up an immediate investigation. It should just be automatic that we go in, we investigate it, and we see what's happening, and we come to a conclusion about it. But if there's any instance where players are guilty of it, I think the club should face a collective punishment for it, and I think they should be hammered, because I think it's the only way that you're going to eradicate it. Yeah, absolutely. Livingston will take on Rangers on Sunday. Rangers, I mean, it was just a great night for Rangers against Sparta. That is a good win, and it puts them in a really great position in the group, Lee. Yeah, up to second place. They were joint 4 points with Sparta before the game, and I must say the first 45 minutes is probably the best I've seen Rangers this season. I thought Danilo up front worked so hard, got his goal with a great composed finish. Unlucky not to get a second goal, although there was contact, so it is a foul. But he done well to finish that. I think he's starting now to look like the player that was brought in to make the impact. I think
There's one thing you've got to give the manager credit for is the signings that have come in that were getting slaughtered at the start of the season. They seem to be gaining more confidence, as does every individual, and as they do as a team. That performance, first half was terrific. Second half, they lost a little bit of goal, a bad goal, and then it became a wee bit edgy the last 10-15 minutes, but nobody really goes out and dominates for the full 90 minutes, especially against that standard of opposition. So I think it's looking positive for Rangers. It really is. They're getting players back that have been out injured as well. Roof was on the bench, although he didn't come on last night. So they're starting to get a squad back together and getting that fitness that the manager keeps mentioning, especially at the start. Danilo was running last night non-stop. It was a tremendous performance.
Yeah, and of course, it looks as if, according to Todd Cantwell, there's a real relationship building there.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, me and Danny having a laugh at the end. We tease each other and sing each other's songs every now and again. But it's nice, you know, it builds morale. And you know, for the lads that don't speak perfect English, you know, it's a nice way to you know, to break the ice as such and build chemistry in other ways. Like I say, from the moment we started playing together on the pitch, I could tell we were going to have a good connection on the ball. And luckily, we really get on off the pitch as well. So I think that's always important.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you hear what Todd Cantwell's saying there, suddenly you're starting to see a little bit of a dressing room coming together with this manager.
Yeah, I think that's key to morale. Ultimately, I think what brings our dressing room together are results. I think winning performances. I think if you've got that, it builds a trust in one another, a belief, a conviction. It must be a whole lot easier walking into training in the back of a win than it is in a difficult performance. But I think you need a bit of chemistry between players too. What he's referencing there is just an understanding, a connection between players, being able to know where someone wants the ball, how they like to receive it, just that partnership. And I think some of that does come if you've got a strong off-field relationship, that it's fairly friendly, that people feel part of it. I think we all know and we've all seen the effects of dressing room cliques on a team and where that can go. So I think what you want is a happy dressing room, but for me the easiest way to get that is by winning results. And
Ruffy, they're singing songs to each other and everything. Did you sing songs with Barry? Were you sitting next to Barry, your best mate, just singing wee songs to each other?
Well, no, we would never do that. Never ever, and it wouldn't be allowed in our dressing room.
Yeah. Did you just have to say, Barry, you played really well?
Yeah. Barry, you're so much better than me.
Yeah, well, that's you're not exactly pushing the boat out of that line, are you? Barry, could you let me see your man of the match performance? Brilliant.
Alison's on about the chemistry there. Ruffy, remember we used to say, like, the team that drinks together has got the chemistry and
yeah.
But I think it's winning games. I think you're spot on. I think it's the close-knit dressing rooms are the one that put a run of games at winning together. It's not about going to the pub and drinking. Maybe used to be, I don't know, you'll answer.
But is there a significant thing that maybe, as you say, winning games is one part of it, but is there a significant thing that maybe a manager or the players do that suddenly, you know, you start to understand a person better? I mean, he's come in for a bit of criticism, Cantwell, you know, and he's allowed himself to get involved in off-the-field nonsense in social media, whereas if he just puts in a performance like last night, I actually thought you know, he's got something. He had brilliant technique for a kind of a volley that he got in the goalkeeper. Bit of acrobatic, you know.
And his goal as well, great
goal's
composure,
a great goal.
And he's chopped a boy for his goal into his left foot. But yeah, I think he's done really well. I think the dressing room issue when you're not winning games, everybody is an individual, and they all worry about themselves, and it's not about each other, and they don't really care, and but when you start winning games, you start becoming more open, and the body language starts getting more open, and you talk to each other and you get to know each other. Whereas if you're getting beat most weeks, then it's head down, keep yourself to yourself. I hope I'm not next to get it. So that's where the individual comes and the collective come together with winning and losing.
What a great insight there, as I now move across to a man who must have been in that Partick Thistle dressing room saying, Well, I'm playing for Scotland. These 10 players that I've got,
They're all rubbish.
Look at them. I mean, honestly. And you,
You're right in what you're saying. I mean, obviously, I was at a team that was at the bottom of the league most of the year, so that's added pressure. So you've got to be quite close to your mates, you know. And away back then, there was a bit of bonding, you know. I mean, not just with us, but I would remember away back in the 70s after a game on the Saturday. Obviously, we'd gone down to town. There'd be, I can't remember the name of the pub down the town, but there'd be Rangers players in there, there'd be Celtic players in there, there'd be Thistle players. All the players seemed to all meet up after the game was finished, and I don't think that. I mean, I would guarantee that doesn't happen now because things have moved on. But even when I was at Celtic, the boys all used to just go to each other's house with their partners, you know, and have in-house stuff. You would never go into the town or anything like that. And I know it must be hard with Rangers players as well to go in there, but you've got to have some kind of bonding. And unfortunately, way back then, it was socially, you know, meeting up and drinking.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, Ali, I mean, we've built up quite a big team here at PLZ, but I'd never have them coming to my house. I mean, that's just bang out of order. Four consecutive wins for Rangers. Things looking good. Coming up against Livingston. The manager is demanding that the players remain focused.
Yeah, if there's one thing I don't want, if that players think that we are now qualified. So we made a really important step forward, that's true, but we don't have anything in our hands for the moment. So it's now confirmation in this game in Aris to get our points. Or in the game against Betis, we still have 2 games to go also. No, it's focus, concentration to try to get 3 points out of every game, but we know that football is a game that you don't always get what you deserve.
Yeah, I think they're in a really good position. Just out of curiosity, I mean, it's Livingston and Aberdeen next up for Rangers before they have Aris at home. I mean, do you start to see signs that this Rangers side are showing that they've got something, that players that we had all kind of written off have suddenly responded?
Yes. I definitely do, and I see the difference of individual confidence and collective confidence. I think they've got direction now. I think the manager's gave them a little bit of direction. He's got them into a cup final. It's looking certainly more positive for Rangers than what it was at the start of the season. I think it's probably difficult to say whether they were going to go in this mad run out games of winning or whether they're just going to nosedive down, and I think that's maybe the board's reacted, and I think they've reacted in a positive way, and it seems to be at the moment unbeaten. It seems to be he's doing the stuff, right?
Get rid of the manager at the right time.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Livingston, of course, got their work cut out against Rangers. No point in us talking about the pitch. We all hate it. David Martindale knows that Livingston are now in that really difficult period, roughly, where they're battling.
Yeah, I think unfortunately they've wandered into that bottom part of the league, and as it is just now, I don't think there's any signs of them getting out yet. I don't think playing Rangers is going to help them any. The players that Livingston have been relying on, Bruce Anderson, Big Boy Newbley, haven't had a great season. Anderson will come in with a goal now and then, but they don't seem to have much apart from that. And it's all, for me, it's all about Rangers going there and learning by their lessons of playing in that surface. I mean, and I saw the other night there seemed to be a change of direction. There was a lot of long balls. You know, Tavernier was like firing long balls up. And it was different for a build-up. So they've obviously clocked, you know, we don't have to be passing about all the time. And I think that's going to be the scene at Livingston. I think you can get caught out on that surface. So it'd be interesting to see how Rangers take care of that game. But I can't see any problems at all.
Yeah. Now, when a club says that you can't speak to St Johnstone about the manager's job, and he's there with Livingston and he gets on with it, that tells you that they're going to stick by him even if they get relegated, in my book. That's what I would read from it, because they are quite a unique club in the way they've structured it and who's in charge.
You would certainly, from his perspective, you would hope so. I think if you're preventing someone from going and moving on in their career, you would like to think that there's a bit of longevity there. I don't think they'll go down. I don't think Livingston will be relegated. I think they'll stay up. However, I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think they'll be fighting for their lives come the end of the season.
If you think they're not going to go down, Who do you do you think that they're going to be playoff or out of that
Yeah, I think
area?
they might be around the playoff zone, but I think they've got enough to stay up. I think he had a really difficult summer trying to, obviously, I think he probably banked and nobly going out and being able to reinvest that maybe in a couple of players. It didn't happen. His budget was cut, was 800 grand or something his budget was cut by. He lost key players. I think every season you look at it and you think, this might be the season where they go down. I think he's got enough as a manager, I think, to keep them up.
Well, interestingly enough, Ali, I'm going to, and it's something that I'm going to pin you and the guys down to, is the fact that I'm analysing it and I'm saying, okay, we're now at the point where we're saying to ourselves, who's showing a spark? Who's, as we get into that point, I'm looking and saying, St Johnstone are down there, change the manager. Now they've got an experienced man in. And a lot of people are saying Craig Levein will get St Johnstone away from there. David Martindale's now got to get a trick out of them, and he's got the lowest budget of everybody. Then up above him, you've got Malky Mackay, who'll get a spin from Roy McGregor in January. That's a Stonewall certainty. And then you've got Stuart Kettlewell. For me, that's the four managers that I think are going to be in the mix.
That's what I see, yeah. I thought Livingston was going to be okay, but then St Johnstone have got their goal scorers back, Nicky Clark and Kane. They've changed their manager. I think they'll get a bounce for that. I think they'll start putting points on the board. So I agree with you. Ross County, I think they'll bring in players in January. I don't think Motherwell will keep falling so dramatically. So I don't think they'll be down round about there. So I can see it, Ross County, Livingston, St Johnstone. As it stands right now, I see Livingston at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah. Ruffy?
I'm still hanging on to Dundee. I think
Dundee are sixth in the league.
I know. But if you look at the points, I thought they were fortunate enough against Livingston with the sending off. I do think it's hard to get points off of them at home, but I don't think they win enough games for me. And I think gradually there'll be a fixture list that they'll hit, whether it be a Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, something like that. And they'll not take any points and they will drift.
So you're hanging on to that?
So they'll be, my bottom three would be St Johnstone, Livingston and Dundee.
In that order to finish?
Roughly,
yeah. Roughly.
Ali? I picked St Johnstone and Livingston.
I had Dundee at the start of the season. I thought Dundee might have been there or thereabouts to go down, given the way that they've started. I think it can be so important if you get off to a good start and you've got a bit of momentum that you don't get sucked into that. So I'm not so sure, but Ross County, I would still have a big question mark over Ross County. And I know what you're saying. I think they will bring in players in January, but sometimes just bringing in, it can be hard to recruit players at that point in the season and harder to make them gel, to acclimatise to your way of playing. I think if you'd asked me this a fortnight ago, I think I would probably have said St Johnstone, just the way that they've been playing, with the fact that they've changed the manager, an experienced manager that you would back to get them out of their current predicament. I think I might go Ross County. Yeah,
and do you know the strange thing about it? And this is where you're constantly, and we do put everybody under a microscope and we do analyse forensically. Results are everything, Lee. But I look at it and I'm saying to myself, experience, Craig Levein. Martindale is going to have to battle and he's got a low budget. Malky's an experienced manager, well above the pay grade of Ross County. So, and I look at Stuart Kettlewell, he's been over the course before. And then you've got Nick Montgomery, who's had a good pedigree coming into Hibs. Robson and Tony Docherty. I think, you just have to wait and see how they develop as young managers. And then you've got Stevie Naismith at Hearts. We're on 4 managers sacked already and we're still looking now saying he's under pressure, he's under pressure. It'll be interesting to see in the bottom end. We didn't give our predictions on these, so Celtic Aberdeen, your prediction, Ruffy?
2-0 Celtic.
Yeah, I think Celtic will win 3-1.
2-1 for me.
3-0 Celtic.
Okay, Livingston against Rangers.
3-1 Rangers.
You going on the predictor? Remember, you're going to have to go on the predictor. And
I've been on the predictor, Peter.
Okay.
You just never show my points on the screen because I'm that low.
You're so far off it. It's unbelievable. But
this week, so you might catch.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah. Just what you need is just a wee run.
Big run, mate.
Half a point between us two.
Is that right?
No, because I had 2 draws.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I'm going to go Rangers to win 3-0. I think if you look at their, and this is where I analyse it. If you look at the last 4 games, they've only conceded 3 goals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So they're starting to get that back line, being miserly.
I'm going to say a comfortable 2-0 for Rangers.
Yep, okay. You can give us your thoughts on that as well. Has everybody given their prediction there? Yeah?
3-0.
3-0, 3-0.
A comfortable one, are you?
Yeah.
I think eventually it'll be comfortable.
I'd love to push you on it, Ruffy. Give us your prediction in the comment section below. We love the fact that, you give us your opinion. We'll give you ours. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll join the football family, and so many people are doing that, downloading the podcast, watching the programme on our YouTube channel, and following across all our social media, including downloading the app, getting the chance to get all the breaking news at your fingertips. If you look at all the major broadcasters in Scotland, we are there, we're at the forefront, we're chasing, we're battling, and we're competing. And of course, you get pundits on here and special guests and a variety of programmes that I would hasten to add is unmatched across all the broadcasters and what they're producing in Scotland. So give us a chance, give us a view, hit the subscribe and come and join us and give us your thoughts on it as well. Motherwell Hearts, Stevie Naismith, Stuart Kettlewell. Questions are asked continually when you don't get a run of games. And I know, Alison, you were out there today to get the thoughts in the Hearts camp.
Stephen Naismith has insisted that there remains an internal belief at Hearts that they're going in the right direction, despite intense criticism on the back of recent performances and results. That ramped up in the aftermath of the Viaplay Semi-Cup final defeat to Rangers at Hampden on Sunday, with Naismith's position coming under particular scrutiny from the Hearts support. He says, though, that he's got a thick enough skin to cope with it.
With this day and age, there's a lot of social media and attention, but again, over my years of playing, I've came up against everything you can imagine. So, I'm very comfortable with how it sits at the moment.
Next up for Hearts are Motherwell at Fir Park, with Stuart Kettlewell's side on a run of 7 games without a win. Naismith believes that run of form is misrepresentative of the qualities that they have to offer.
I think Motherwell have been unfortunate in a lot of the games. I think they've maybe started the games, and then when they've had nothing to lose, they've actually shown their true style and what they're trying to do, and that's what's effectively got them points out of games in the previous Ross County, the game the other night. So we know that they are a dangerous team.
Yeah, Alison, that's possibly the most beautiful backdrop we've ever had for someone doing a piece to camera. Beautiful clouds, lovely stadium in the background there, paying particular attention to everything. The one negative about the whole thing is quite simply that Stephen Naismith, again, I think it's not nice to somebody suddenly releasing social media posts suggesting that the players are not with them.
Yeah, I think that becomes very, very difficult when things like that become public and come into a public forum. I think you sense almost that you're trying to hold the tide back a bit. I know that there was real acrimony among the Hearts support in the back of that defeat to Rangers at Hampden at the weekend. There was an anger about it. It almost felt like the straw that broke the camel's back in a way. I think there's been a lot of criticism of him. I think he badly needs a run of results. Whether or not he's going to get the time to deliver it, I'm not sure. He seems very calm. I think he seems very composed. He's an experienced player. He's been at the forefront of heavy criticism before at Rangers and elsewhere. It's now, I think, whether or not he gets the time to see it out.
Can I ask you, because you've got a greater insight than anyone on this panel, I have a lot of time for Anne Budge. I like the way the Hearts board go about their business. I'm a huge fan of Stephen Naismith. I think he's a thoroughly decent person. He's a young manager trying to find his feet. Are they the type of board that will sit there and say, look, there is a bit of criticism, let's look at the table, let's put things in perspective, we're going to stick by you and help you? Still got to surely get himself a transfer window in January.
Yes, short answer, yes. I agree with you, a nice guy. He's actually a good coach as well. And Joe Savage, who's done pretty well regarding recruitment-wise. When they lost like Janelli, they brought in Vargas. The recruitment has been pretty good. It's just trying to gel them all together. Stephen, I agree with Alison, Stephen needs maybe 3-4 wins on the bounce. perfect opportunity for them. Away at Motherwell have not really found their feet of late. I think it's a perfect game for them, and I expect them to win. But going back to your point, the powers to be, the board are very fair. I found, in my experience and opinion, I think they're very fair, and I know Joe Savage will have his back and be backing him. So I think the club will be together from that regard. It's just the fans. The fans are shown in the past have been quite noisy, and I think they're being quite noisy just now.
Yeah, on that point though, Ruffy, it's an amazing run of games they've got coming up, because they've got Motherwell away and then they've got St Johnstone at home before Kilmarnock away at Rugby Park before they face Rangers. Now that's 3 games where you're looking at 9 points, and I wonder, I mean, I know managers don't do it, but I wonder how we think you should fare there. You suddenly, as Lee mentioned, the cloud suddenly disappears if you could get 9 points.
Yeah, well, the supporters will be looking at their fixtures as well, and they'll be demanding that there should be 9 points or there or thereabouts.
Stephen will know he needs 9 points here in the next 3 games.
If he doesn't get the majority of the points, it'll not be a cloud, it'll be a thunderstorm. It'll be hovering over him if he doesn't get any of the 8 points. If they don't win most of them, unfortunately for him, as Lee knows, Hearts have got a massive fans contingent who have got a big say in the club. Well, they think they have got a big say in the club because of the money, probably quite rightly. They put in all their direct debits and everything. So of all the clubs, I would say Hearts are going to be influenced by the supporters more than anybody else.
Okay.
Because of what they've put into the club.
I think Saturday's interesting because whoever comes out of it in the losing side, I think you really feel the pressure go on to them.
But by the way, Alison, I mean, and not that I think Motherwell are going to suggest, not that I think Motherwell are a club that might look in a knee-jerk reaction towards Stuart Kettlewell, because Stuart Kettlewell came in when everybody was willing Stephen Hamill to try and get a trick out of Motherwell, but he couldn't do it. Stuart Kettlewell came in and changed him, and I spoke to Stuart Kettlewell yesterday and said to him, are you trying to replicate what you did when you inherited the squad to what you're doing now? And he said, this needs collective responsibility. There's no point in me blaming the back line. The middle needs to help them. The front guys need to help them. So he was calling for that. The other thing I pointed out to him was sometimes when you're in the bottom half, you have to look and analyse what gets you away from it. He's pointed out Nicky Clark at St Johnstone. Beereth might be the answer to his problems at Motherwell.
He needs something. He needs something. He needs to change it. But I thought they were very porous. I thought the recent midweek game that I was at, I thought their backline looked very fragile at Aberdeen game. I just thought they were pulled apart easily. You could sense the lack of confidence within the team. I think sometimes you just get a sense of the atmosphere around the team when it's not going well. And I think he badly needs a result on Saturday and a performance. Sometimes I think supporters will take a defeat or a draw if you can see that there are qualities there and that there's a performance there that's moving in the right direction. But when you're on a run like this, it's like 7 games without a win, then that becomes harder to sell. It's a harder ask to ask people to stomach another one.
Well, if you're talking about little signs, I mean, okay, it's 6 defeats and 2 draws in those last 8 matches, but they fought back from 2-0 down against St Johnstone. Yeah. So the second half performance showed you that they've got a bit of spark, they can respond.
Ross County as well, that game they were, in the last 10 minutes to get two goals and to bring it back from 3-1 to get a draw. So there's still a bit of spirit about them.
Yeah. I hope we're not at the point where suddenly we're getting close to another manager getting the bullet, especially for what he achieved. It's that classic line, isn't it, Lee? Has he got credit in the bank? I think he has.
He's got to have. Well, let's be realistic. Look at what he's done since he came in. The last 7 games, all right. What was it? 5 of them not been good enough. He cut him some slack. He's been playing young boys in there.
He's had
Lennon
injuries.
Miller, who's injured now. He's played nearly every game this season. He's 17-year-old, so he's getting him experience. Although he's injured now, I agree with you. I think Beereth steps up. He gets them out of it. himself. He's a handful
Yeah.
when he plays.
Absolutely. And the one other really good point that Stuart Kettlewell was talking about, everybody's obsessed with what's happening on the ground, if there's late challenges, if there's a foot going in, if there's a frame that suddenly highlights a dangerous tackle. He also reckoned that there should be more evidence and more attention paid to some of the aerial challenges as well.
Now, we speak about being responsible for your fall through. I seen Marcus Rashford last night. I watched the lad Brown for Ross County against Celtic. We keep talking about these ground challenges and you're responsible for your fall through. I'm seeing guys getting red carded for it and all the rest of it. And folk will tell you, I didn't see him coming. There was a genuine attempt for the ball. We've had two instances now, as I say, one in the Aberdeen game with Brodie Spencer and one with Paul McGinn where our guy clearly wins the ball and a follow through for the opponent. And it's not, there's no malice in it. The player's not trying to hurt our player. But correct me if I'm wrong, that must be a greater danger when we start to talk about this age where we're worried about concussion and long-lasting injuries.
Yeah, it's a point. If we were handing out red cards for that, you maybe would have got 7 games in the season, big man. You know that follow-through header that you were famed for?
Yeah. You know, he's got a point, no. He's got a point. The hot topic at the moment is concussion and round about Scottish football. And he's got a point. If the following through, if it's near your head, it's obviously going to be more dangerous than what it is around your ankles, feet, whatever. And maybe we should be focusing a little bit more on aerial challenges. Yeah,
I mean, the big man, Callum Butcher, came in. He got his nose broken in the midweek game, and he said they just popped it back in, Ruffy. Oof, don't fancy that much, do you?
No, I think, I've always said, I think the two hardest jobs.
What, pop it back in if it's Ruffy's?
Well, to be fair, by the way, to get a broken nose, you have to be in for contact. He just left it to his two centre-halves, which can I just point out, his two centre-halves at one point were Alan Hansen and also at Partick Thistle, and he had Gordon McQueen, so he'd never come near.
It's no bad.
All my centre-halves had broken noses. Judge. No, you're right. I mean, the game now is so physical now, and the centre half and the centre forward. I don't know how. It's the hardest job I think on the park because you've got to be physical enough to be up there, you know, because you know the big centre half's going to come right through you, so you're sort of protecting yourself as long as you're not like giving it that, you know. But I can see how accidentally that would interpret the same as the football one that you meant it. So he's got a fair point, but I mean, where are we going to end here? It's going to be a non-contact sport if we get our way with everybody, you know. The rules are there, you know, if you break them, you get a yellow card or a red card.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think the amount of players that I've read over the last few months have just said it's now fast becoming a non-contact sport. It's changing, although you do want players to be safe. It's an interesting one. Motherwell against Hearts. I can only see 2-2, Ruffy.
I'm a 1-1.
1-1.
1-0 Hearts.
Okay, interesting. That's the headline for tomorrow. Former Motherwell player goes against his old club. I'm only winding you up. Hibs against Kilmarnock, Saturday, 3 o'clock. Your fantastic kick-off time. Well, I have to say, if there's a team that I think are going to climb the league, and I'm looking towards you, Ali, because we were out there in the cold going to football matches, which only 3 of us on the panel go to football matches unless there's a starter, a main course and a suite. Hibs against... Hibs
and
played...
remote control.
Hibs... I thought Hibs played brilliantly in the first half. They were a joy to watch.
Yeah, I thought there was a real energy about them, a real aggression about them. I think they'll feel hard done by at the minute. Hibs on the back of going out of the Viaplay Cup and being pegged back. I think that draw the other night would probably have felt like a defeat, just because it looked as though they were going to take the 3 points and move up into the top 6. I think the nature of the late equaliser always just takes the wind right out your sails. But I think you can see what Nick Montgomery is trying to do. You can see a very clear identity about the team. You can see the direction, the way he wants to play. I think it will click. I think Josh Campbell said the same in the aftermath of the game. You know, we're going to give someone a hiding one day when it all comes together. You can certainly see the nucleus here in the spine of a good side.
Yeah, and Nick Montgomery is adamant they are going to try to continue to play in that vein.
we'll keep going. We'll keep getting on the training ground and keep working and keep playing the way that we play, and the results will start coming. The wins will start coming. But yeah, it's been another frustrating draw.
I mean, Yuan sometimes can be hot and cold. When he's hot, he's really hot. The boy Jair Tavares, he was a real handful as well.
Yeah.
Rory Whittaker's only 16. He's bombing up and down the right-hand side. I like Joe Newell because I think he's a really neat and tidy left peg on him, keeps the whole thing moving.
And then you've got Boyle to throw in, who obviously wasn't there. But I think it looks promising for Hibs, for me. They just can't seem to get that 3 points and the monkey off their back to get the win and then kick on. I like the manager. I like the way he talks. I think they're a very attacking team. They lose silly goals. I think in January they need to look at centre-half area and strengthen that. But if they do that, I think I can see them coming and kicking on and picking up points.
I'm glad you said that, Lee, because I've been banging on for long enough. Guys like Lewis Stevenson have absolutely put themselves out there for long enough. Lewis Stevenson's got the badge. He's coming to the twilight of his career, whether he goes elsewhere or not. He's done his bit. Hanlon, equally for me, they now have to get that centre-back position sorted out too, if necessary.
Well, it's noticeable that's what he's working on. You've just touched on it. They left Hanlon out, who's been a mainstay. And he's trying to get a back four, And even for the first day that he went in there, the new manager, they lost a bad goal. Was it Kilmarnock? They were winning and they lost a bad goal. And then there was that game midweek, defence lets them down. The other week before that, the defence let them down. So I think he'll be working and trying to get his best 4 or 5 or however he wants to play. But certainly, I'm sure he will identify new players coming in. It might be the case again, we might see some Australian players, because you've got to tap in somewhere. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. Yeah, 5 draws and 2 defeats in their last 7 matches. I can see them, winning this one against Kilmarnock. It's a Kilmarnock side, obviously, Ali, coming off the back of that home win to Motherwell. Derek himself looks as if he's got Killie heading in the right direction. But again, away from home, Killie are woeful, which is why I can see Hibs win this one.
I think my money would be on Hibs as well. I think the fact they're at Easter Road too. I think they'll be smarting from this week. I think they'll feel as though they should have taken much more than what they have, and they should have more to show for it. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Hibs.
Hibs 2-0.
2-0?
I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1, yep.
2-1.
2-1, yep, okay. Just trying to, honestly...
You're just coffee and that's terrible.
Because there's only half a point. Do you know what? You're a disgrace at times, honestly.
If she hasn't put her result, do you haven't put any results into midweek?
I forgot midweek results.
Yeah. Let's see the chart.
There's no sympathy.
Some of us are actually out at games and working and all this.
Babysitting us.
Yeah, absolutely. To be fair, just to be sharpen that back stud, Ali, you could have caught him full on the knee there. What about Dundee against St Mirren? Patrick Mullen was on his travels.
I'm here at the St Mirren training complex this morning speaking to Stephen Robinson as his side are preparing to take on Dundee. They will travel to Dens Park, a place that has been a fortress for the Dark Blues. They've only lost once there so far this season, and it's fair to say that Stephen Robinson was full of praise for the role that Tony Docherty has played.
Yeah, I think they've signed Premiership players. As I say, Tony signed a lot of players. He's been around the Scottish game a long time. He's got a lot of contacts, and I think it's credit to him. He signed very well, and as I say, he's signed seasoned SPL players that have come in and hit the ground running. So, that's credit to them.
There are a few controversial VAR decisions in the 2-2 draw between St Mirren and Hibernian during the week, and today Stephen Robinson revealed that it costs his side £120,000 a season out of their prize money to fund VAR.
The question we have to ask ourselves is it making the game better? Is VAR making the game better? Because we're investing money into it. Every team in the SPL is investing money into it when we could be banning players with it. So is it making it better? Are we doing it half-cooked? If we are, then that has to be ultimately the answer. If we're making it better, then we stick with it and we keep pushing on. If we're not making it better, so let you guys decide, and the fans, which are the most important people in the game, then certainly everything has to be looked at. And I was the biggest advocate for it. I thought it would help the game. Football's a spontaneous game that gives great joy to a lot of people. And now that joy's being held back, so to speak.
It's Dundee versus St Mirren, and it kicks off at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, and we'll be live from Dens Park, keeping you up to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done to Patrick Mullen, and it's a great question for everybody. Would you bin it, or would you limit it, or would you restructure it? It's the conundrum that everybody, not just in Scotland, right across the globe, was looking at VAR and saying, we have to get this right, but it's creating more problems.
There's no way it'll be binned. There's not a chance. We've got to this stage. It won't just be dismissed. But I do think there are tweaks around it that would enhance it, and it would maybe iron out a lot of the frustrations that it brings. I think we spoke about it the other day on a journal show, Peter, that maybe bringing in a 60-second rule when a referee comes to make a decision. You've got a minute to call it. None of this 4 or 5 minutes. And I think if you need to deliberate for that length of time, you go with your gut. You go with what your first impression was with your naked eye, and then go from there. I think everyone has been tearing their hair out at points across the last year since it's come into use. But I think we're still probably better with it than without it.
If it was me, Ruffy, I would limit the situations that you're deliberating over. I'd call the 60-second. We had a great discussion on the Journal's programme at length about this, and it's still up on the YouTube channel to watch. And then I would also get to a situation where I would say the referee is in control of this match. You can just show him the frames and say, here is the observation, stop, nothing else. You make what you think is, here's where I think you've made the error, stop, no further chat, no further influence, let the referee look at the frames, and then in a situation where you have, Maeda's challenge is one of them, when you have a situation where there's a challenge, you see it at full pace, and then you see that frame of the evidence, not a consistent looking at the frame, looking at the frame, showing it again. I think they have to limit how you use it, and also the speed that you use it.
Yeah, and I think it's also how you interpret it, because a lot of them are different. When I saw the Maeda one first, I went, there's not much in that. And then all of a sudden, when you see it again, and you see the guy rolling about the ground as if he'd just been half and two, you go, there must have been some contact there, serious contact for that guy to be rolling about there. So he studs it up, and interpretation of the rules are as we know it. I agree that there needs to be tweaks here and there. I don't know what they would be, but I would bet you if you forced the people who are in charge of VAR, they'll tell you the percentages of getting it right are better than the ones that are wrong.
Well, right now, in the last 3 weeks, I would suggest that there's a contrast to that opinion, because, you can look at certain instances. I thought it was soft. I agree with you. I thought it was harsh. Yeah. When you look even at full pace and then one angle on Romero could have broken the boy's leg in the Tottenham game.
Yeah, which could have went the other way. I even think the boy at Atletico could have hurt Maeda in the slightest.
Where you're talking about.
So in the slightest movement, it could have really have hurt him. But when you slow it down, you can. For me, freeze framing and slowing it down, you can make that out to be whatever you want it to be. Come on, referee, you need to see this. You've made the mistake here. That should have been a straight red card. I'll prove it to you. Slow it down, freeze it. It's no for me. I'm with you. Everything needs to be, decisions need to be made quicker. The window of opportunity to do that, I would suggest maybe slightly longer than a minute, although I don't know. When you get there, if you've not came to a decision after the minute and a half, whatever it is, then go with your gut. That's what I would like to see.
And the last big change that I think would benefit the game greatly, we've already, Ruffy and I have talked about it non-stop about stopping the clocks, but the one big change I would make, because it's an entertainment, is unless there is clear daylight between player and player, the attacker is onside.
Semi-final, Boyle's goal. Mm-hmm. Would you say that's a good instance where the line? It looks onside.
I think it looks level.
Yeah.
And you see the lines, so you need to trust the lines.
There not used to be two lines. There used to be a red and a blue line.
There was. There wasn't that showed you.
Yeah.
The red and the blue.
But I'm saying now, never mind that. If his leg suddenly is connecting and you see the player there, unless there's clear daylight to draw a line, the attacker's onside.
Oh, right, I get it.
I am saying, this is an entertainment. We want people to come and say, by the way, I'm cheering with my pal, I'm enjoying the game, I want to see goals. That's what this game's all about. Yes, there's great tackles and great saves, but the game is all about goals. If the attacker has not got clear daylight and there's a defender playing him on with his arm, with his toe, I don't care, he's on, let him go and try and score a goal.
I agree. I think then, if there's daylight, you've got clear clarity.
I think it would be helpful to hear what's been said.
I would agree.
See when the referee's been called over.
But is that, sorry to cut in, is that hear what's been said if you're watching on the telly? Because you can't hear what's been said if you're watching in the stand, if you're live at the game. So do you mean the TV?
Yeah, I think if there was some kind of audio...
No, you can have the audio of the referee. They do it in rugby.
Aye, but they'll not do that. They'll not do
About
that.
the fans won't hear what that dialogue is.
Between
the game and
between the VAR and the referee.
They do that at the rugby though.
No, but the referee can convey what's been happening and why the decision was made.
The way they do it in rugby is just bang on.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm running out of time, so I was going to say to you right now, did we Dundee St Mirren?
2 each.
1 each.
I think they'll both get beat. No.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-0 St Mirren. I was so impressed with them. St Johnstone against Ross County. There's a bit of life in them. Ruffy, how do you see that one?
They'll be encouraged. I know they lost a couple of late goals that were encouraged with the positive result, but I think Ross County can be good enough to go there and dig out a draw.
Craig Levine reckons he can see a spark in the team.
2 games I've watched, so the Kilmarnock game and this game. The things we can do better defensively for sure. Midfield looks, pretty promising, and we've got 3 good strikers as well. And if we can keep everybody fit and keep working on the way that we want to play, then things will improve. So.
Okay, there you are. Craig looks so serious at the moment, but there is a lighter side to him. I'm going 1-0 St Johnstone.
Yeah, so am I. I'm going to go 1-0 St Johnstone.
Ruffy?
1 each.
1 each.
1 each, okay. Couple of stories before we go. Well done to Robbie Nielsen, really like him as a guy. Head coach of Tampa Bay Rowdies in the USL Championship. When you get a job like that, so prestigious, you want your pals around you, you want the people that were there with you, who you worked with, that you trusted, and you thought they were pals and they'd be with you when you go into the trenches in a foreign country.
The trenches, it's Tampa Bay. No, it's a tremendous move for him, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's back in.
Did he ask you?
Yeah.
Why did you say no?
I didn't want to up and leave the family, and I just love you guys so much.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Lee, and I'm thinking, what a dimwit you are. Hello, just out of curiosity, Lanarkshire or Tampa? I mean,
no, I've been abroad
man.
before. I went to Poland before, and I know it's a different area again, but I didn't enjoy being away for the family.
But just out of curiosity, were you not taking the family with you to Tampa?
No, he's not.
All right.
So no, he's just going over to see how he beds in himself and get to know the players a little bit better. And he's got Nicky Law, who's been over here in Scotland, if you remember him.
Oh yeah, I remember Nicky for Dundee.
Motherwell.
Yeah.
Motherwell and then Rangers.
Motherwell and Rangers, no for Dundee.
No, there's Nicky Law.
Low,
I was thinking of. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So he's the assistant over there.
Right, brilliant. Okay, just a couple of things before we go, and I want to get your thoughts on this because this really has worrying implications again for not so much, worryingly for Scotland, but for Europe as well. Amazon are set to rival TNT and Sky for the rights to the Premier League. Now, that to me means that there is going to be billions on the table and English football could just disappear off into the sunset.
Yeah, I think it's already hard enough. I think what you want to see is Scotland just trying to get more than a couple of crumbs that fall off it. I don't know how you get it. I don't know what the answer is, but I think if there is more money going into European football and English football, and you're talking about the restructure next season 2 of the Champions League, where does it leave Scottish football, and who's advocating for our game and for the marketing preferences that might just bring a bit more into our game?
Yeah, Ruffy, just a final one. Third consecutive month in a row, Ange Postecoglou, manager of the month. I think he's going to actually do a big discussion with managers on how to play with 9 men.
Yeah, I can't believe he lost that game.
Yeah, you can. Once he went down to 9, you know, I thought he had a chance if it went down to 5, and he was still going to play a high line. I don't know about you, Lee. I was like this. This is me watching the game. Please drop back.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I love his mindset. I love the way the message he's conveying to the players and the board and the fans. I just love it.
Brilliant. Okay, Lee and Ruffy will be with Kerry Pollock for the Saturday morning preview. Good news on Saturday. Tam's still on holiday at the moment. Who takes a holiday during the season? All I can say is we've added somebody of real quality, a man who was at the World Cup as well as Ruffy has been. Darren Jackson will be here with Ali Graham and myself on Saturday at 3:45 for half-time, full-time analysis of reporters out at the grounds. And don't forget, we've got Straight Talk with Karen Dunbar. It is an absolute riot, so funny, brilliant. Just an hour in the company of a talented comedian, writer and actor. She was absolutely sensational. So if you get on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, you'll get that. There's a really feisty journals programme and there's the women's football show as well. So much variety. Hopefully you can join the football family. Thanks to Ruffy, to Alison and Lee. I'm going to go now with Alison and Ruffy and try and work out how to get the chocolate stains out of these jeans. Thanks for watching and listening.